It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Musical Lyrical Lingo. We're your hosts, Tim
and LJ. Today and every week we will be discussing musicals, but specifically what they taught us.
And what a great way to come back after our little holiday.
I know, it was very long. You're too busy. You need to get it together.
Yeah, the thing is I haven't been on holiday yet, to be honest. But anyway, yes, we have got two very special guests with us today.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a guest, but we have had plans for a while, and these two guests are the guests I've been most looking forward to.
I know, and
because they're our pals.
Yeah, and we're super excited that they're here in our makeshift studio.
Yes, indeed. Makeshift is the word. We haven't branded it yet or logofied the place. Today we have with us Jennifer Rooney, choreographer extraordinaire.
What a title!
I know, I've worked on it. And the lovely Allison Harding, performer.
Oh, you need another word.
Professional performer.
Extraordinary.
Who's Paddy Lapone when you've got Allison Harding? That's what I would say. Guys, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It's so exciting. I feel like I need to be on my best behaviour and that I'm not.
You don't have to be on your best behaviour. Don't you know me by now?
I was about to say being on your best behaviour opposite these two.
No, but I think for you and me, as we've talked about this before, we're just best friends that love musicals. But we are so fortunate from our experiences and everything that we've been involved in. We've got to meet wonderful professionals along the way. And these two lovely ladies are just like inspirational.
Inspirational, there you go.
You know, it's somebody that you're like, oh, I can have a conversation with an amazing choreographer and an amazing performer on a like real level, and they don't look down on us. It's lovely. Am I really fangirling here?
You're totally fangirling, yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll start with Miss Rooney.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Rooney. You are one of the best choreographers I know, and I've been very fortunate to have worked with you on various different things and be able to call you a buddy and a mate. When did you start your journey into choreography?
I honestly have been choreographing all my life since a very, very young age. Like, I think I did what a lot of people who love performing, and that is stick on a piece of music, run around the house, sing, dance. And I think one of my earliest memories was putting on a tape, finding a tape of Jesus Christ Superstar. And that tells you how long ago it was, a tape. And choreographing a Dance to Herod song.
Oh.
The words, everything, the whole shebang. I was Herod and I was all his dancers. Yeah.
Oh, one woman.
One woman show.
You're Joseph.
See? Yeah. We've all been there. We've all done it, like.
It's true. It's absolutely true. So yeah, I think I just kept going, and then I took it up as a hobby. Obviously I was doing a lot of Irish dancing since I was 3, and then I did ballet, and then I did contemporary dance. And then whenever I was in shows, I loved it. But I think I became progressively more interested in creating the work. And when I went to contemporary dance school in Leeds and trained as a dancer, but they saw my potential for creating movement, and it's not that I didn't realise it could be a career. I knew that it could be, but I didn't think that it was my career.
Yeah.
But then and I performed a little bit, but I think very quickly just realised that actually that's where my strengths were. Being the boss.
You do make a good boss, to be fair.
Thank you.
I would do what you told me to do.
Yeah. And I think that comes from teaching, doesn't it, as well? So 100%. I did a lot of teaching. And then through the teaching, I had to create, things for shows, for McMasters. I did a lot of work in Amdram companies around Northern Ireland. Mm-hmm. Like at one point, I was driving hundreds and hundreds of miles every week, going from one operatic company to the next. And then very sort of slowly but surely started doing although I was getting paid to do that, so it was professional, I then started working for the Lyric and the MAC and Millennium Forum and places like that.
It's like the next level.
Yeah, for professional companies. I did work for Bruiser as well and did some actor-musician shows for them, and then started really getting into it. So I think in the end, I actually did more work with people who weren't dancers. I did actor-musician work and choreographed for plays and things like that, because there wasn't really a huge opportunity to create professional musical theatre here.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up then, I suppose, doing the work that I'm doing now.
Yeah, very cool. And just on the point that you had made, that you felt more comfortable, you know, coming up with the choreography and not the performing aspect. Do you ever miss the performing side, or are you like so now content, like on the other side of the?
No, I think maybe it felt a bit like a sliding doors moment at one point where I did make a conscious decision that I was going to do that rather than that. And I think if I had I definitely could have done the other thing. Like I had the passion for performing.
Yeah.
But for example, in musicals back then, I felt that there was a really narrow opportunity for people who looked like me. Put it like that. I am quite unique looking because of my height.
Yeah.
And all the dancer calls, for example, for choruses in the West End were all 5'8" and above, you know, and that did play, I have to say, a massive part in some of the choices that I made.
Yeah.
I think less so for the contemporary dance, but yeah, I did do auditions for a couple of years, and yeah, you have to be a certain type of steely person to take those knockbacks, but.
And is that
they're brutal. If you go to Pineapple and do an open dance call, they're brutal. You get a number, and the queue for the open audition is down the street. It's down Shelton Street, you know.
Yeah.
And you do have to have a certain attitude and a certain courage to attend those things.
You're a number.
You are a number, literally.
Yeah. And do you, those parameters of what they're looking for, are they still like, you know, you're talking about your height. Is that still a thing today, or is it a lot?
I think
more
things
open?
Have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I think things have changed a little. Like if you go, well, I don't know. It depends, I suppose, on the musical. But like if you go and see a show in the West End now, I like when I went. What did I see that was just absolutely wonderful? And I just was looking at all the different shapes and sizes.
Yeah,
half a sixpence.
It might have been half a sixpence. It might have been Shrek. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there seems to be a little bit more open-minded now about shape and size, and I love that and age.
Yes.
As well.
Okay. And so I kind of, from what I've seen recently, ensembles look very different to what they looked like 10 years ago.
Yeah. They're not all 5'11".
Yeah, exactly.
And I think in a lot of open calls, I would watch a lot of like TikTok and behind the scenes and like people who like to share their stories. And funny, there was a recent open call there for Six the Musical, and it was lovely that it did say like, we are looking for not the norm, you know, like any shape, any size, anything, that's what we're looking for. And another couple of shows are the same. In fact, I've had a conversation with a girl who has trained away, and she's come back and she said, I look too normal now, where I feel like I don't fit into there's something a little bit different about me. So, you know, I know then some performers are changing their hair colour just to kind of like stand out a little bit more. So it's interesting. But I want to go back and ask you, Jen, do you feel that because you didn't have one foot in performing and one foot in choreography, I can't say the word, choreography, you were able to make that decision, where if you had kept trying to perform and you know, working behind the scenes, it wouldn't have worked as well as it does for you?
Yeah, maybe, but I think that's a very individual thing. Okay. I know that some choreographers are able to make that work, but I don't think it's necessarily true that if you're a good dancer or performer that you're a good choreographer.
I agree.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
It's really handy that I've got a dance background because it means that I can demonstrate and show. But for example, say I was to go in and work on a tap show, choreograph, like I'd be under pressure because I don't have like a background in tap. I can tap. Yeah. But I don't have the technical language for it. So in that instance, if I was asked to choreograph a tap musical, I'd say, bring it on. Yeah. But give me someone who can tap. Yeah. So that I can say, right, do this, and like understand the rhythms, and it's...
And I don't think being a good dancer helps you in any way, shape or form when you come to choreographing a group of non-movers, as you said, you know, like you have found a real niche in, you know, choreographing. Those actor musicians that aren't necessarily like trained dancers and things like that.
Yeah, and that has, I suppose, the working with the big drum companies has led me very much in that direction.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I've built a way of working with people to kind of get the movement out of them, so they feel like they own it, and it suits their bodies as well. So, yeah.
Definitely. I think that's one of the things I've learnt from you, that ability to work with non-movers and, you know, get movement that suits folk like that, which doesn't make them look like they're out of their comfort zone, and it fits naturally to them. Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the things I've learnt from you. So thank you. Ali.
Hello, darling.
I feel like we're abandoning you.
No,
here.
not at all.
Let's move on to our fabulous performer. Now, Ali, you have a Wikipedia page, which is
I'm
very
not sure
cool.
I think somebody else did that. I don't know how you get a wiki page. How do you get a wiki page?
Well, someone.
Russian lady, do you remember?
What Russian lady?
I had a fan who created it.
Oh, I had a fan in Russia.
Here.
Who created... no, I do know how to get a wiki page. I've now sorted that.
Have you?
It was a lady who had seen Peter Pan or Alice the Musical at the Lyric.
Right, okay.
And I played the Queen of Hearts in that. But she'd seen it online. And all of a sudden, she was sending to the whole group, not just me, wonderful paintings, drawings of us as characters in things. And then on her Twitter page, suddenly there was a picture of me as Captain Jess Hook on her T-shirt in Red Square.
Oh, wow.
I went, oh, look. Then poor Boyd, the director, pointed that out because he's always on social media. And then he said, and you've got a wiki page. And what she's done, thank you very much if you're listening, is actually put everything that I've ever done since 1985.
Because I went on to, you know, to get like a introduction of you, for you. You know, we have Allison Harding today, who's blah, 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 blah. And I was like, my God, we'll be here for 3 hours if we're going through everything
I'd like to
that
thank
you've
her
done.
because some of the things I'd forgotten I'd done.
I love it.
How did she know? She must have gone...
Listen, and also what she's done has put links to the reviews from 1985, 86, 80, all the way through. And I've gone, oh my God, I forgot I did that.
Everybody needs a Russian fan like that.
Absolutely. God bless her.
Yeah, fantastic. So, when did you first dip your toes into the world of performing that you're now in?
Oh my goodness, I was very lucky to have a talented brother, Alex Harding, who was a founder member of Gay Sweatshop in London in the 70s, was the writer and pianist for Gay Sweatshop, wrote Dear Love of Comrades. He was also the pianist, Dottie Bluelip, for Blue Lips under the lovely Betty Bourne. So I grew up in a very musical home. Okay. Even my parents, which I only found out quite recently, were ballroom champions in Southsea. Because my dad was an MC, which was the caller of the dances just after the war in the 40s, and that's how we met my mum at the dancing. And they used to dance together, and I found a program, and it was Champions, not professional, but you know, at the dinner and dances. And I went, well, there we are.
And you never knew that.
I never knew that.
Oh,
but there's also I'm sort of from a Romany kind of background. Jen and I were doing some genealogy, and we found a book called Gypsies on the Heath. Yeah. And there was a page or a section describing my mother's side, gypsy side, of them dancing and singing around a campfire in the New Forest in Southampton. And it was all my relatives. It's extraordinary. So Alex and I often wondered, where do we get this from? Because my middle brother couldn't put one foot in front of the other. And now we know that it sort of comes from my mother's side, and the music side, especially from my brother, is mother's side.
So totally in your blood.
Totally. So I was very fortunate enough to go and watch, at the age of 8 or 9, go up to London from Portsmouth and watch my brother do the tech or watch a run through and be surrounded by these fabulous mad people.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of got into it. And of course I did ballet. And then I did judo, and I had to choose between ballet and judo because it was the wrong muscles. And, I did actually choose judo. But then I always knew that I wasn't the right shape or height to be a ballet dancer. So I went to do tap. And from there, the tap rhythm went into my hands and I become a drummer. So that's how I got into the actor muso type of things. Yeah,
because I was going to ask, quite a lot of the work you've done has involved that, that actor-musician roles, and just the musicality side of being able to play all the instruments you can play. How did that come about? Did you go to lessons or did you just teach yourself?
Well, I had piano lessons.
Okay.
And then, unfortunately, I gave them up because I got interested in boys and football and tennis. And, so I neglected my lessons from about the age of 13, 14. When you're going into puberty and everything else is far more interesting than practicing the piano.
That's my excuse too.
And then I sort of left school and went and did an A-level drama course at Highbury Technical College. I'm still in touch with some friends from that. Now, we're going back to the 80s before you two are probably a twinkle in your daddy's eye. And could sing a bit, but I always wanted to do Shakespeare. That was my dream, was to be with the RSC, not the RAC, the RSC. And it was back in the day where I had to audition to a strange man behind a desk who'd probably never set foot in a theatre for a grant to go to drama school. So I did the rounds and I did the RADA and the Central and the Arts Ed and the Lambda and the Webber Douglas, after doing this 2-year A-level drama course, and finally got into arts educational schools, but not how it is today. They had a drama course and, it was in the Barbican Centre where the drama department, I always like to say this, was separate from the musical theatre department and the dancing department. It was just drama. But I did have a wonderful singing teacher and voice teacher, Janet Hemfrey and Mary Hammond. Now, if you Google Mary Hammond, she has taught huge stars to sing, and she was one of the best, and we were lucky to have her at drama school. And she had this sort of voice that went, find that sound, Ali. You've got to find that sound in your diaphragm, that sound. And I guess that sound she meant was that West End Wendy ping, which is kind of out of fashion now. Yeah. It is out of fashion now, but then it was very fashionable. So that sound was that ping. So from there, I picked up the saxophone at drama school, I think. The best 3 years of my life, drama school. And then I was lucky enough to get into the Birmingham Rep in the days when repertory theatre was around. Yeah. And that was really my apprenticeship. I had a year at the Birmingham Rep under the wonderful Clive Perry and people like Devon Scott and Ian Glenn. Devon Scott is George C. Scott's daughter. It was a lovely year with her, and Ian Glenn has been in many, many things. So I did a year there and got my provisional equity card in the days when you needed and had to have an equity card. Yes, it came in a little red wallet. I've still got it. Things you keep, but I can't get rid of it. It's lovely.
Not at all.
It's beautiful.
And then what constituted the next level then?
The next level was meeting Bob Carlton. Really?
Like moving from provisional to being...
Well, you had to do a certain amount of weeks until you got your blue wallet, which was your full equity card.
Okay, right.
Not like this now. You can just wander in willy-nilly and just get one. And give them 50 quid and that's it.
You had to work for it.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, no, and also you had to have 3 contracts, which it didn't matter if they were signed on the back of a bit of loo paper. But if I remember, colleagues of mine at drama school going around and singing in nursing homes, and the ward sister signing a bit of paper, going, "Yes, that's a contract."
We could have got.
You so could have got it.
We could have got it. I mean, we did about 3 nursing homes a week.
Yeah, because the thing is, in those days, you couldn't perform unless you had an equity card.
Yeah.
But how do you get your equity card if you can't perform?
Okay.
So people used to find a way around it. Yeah. And this went on for years. Years. I remember.
So when did you move from your blue? What colour was the real one then?
Blue.
So you went from red to blue.
Okay. Yeah. And I've got both, and they were little wallets, little tiny. They were lovely. I love them. I've still got them somewhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think our listeners will truly appreciate the number of instruments you can play. Can you
Darling,
rattle
Jack of all
off?
trades, master of none. I basically...
No, Ali, that's
Well, if you
not
sat
true.
me down and said, we were at a party and we'd had a few drinks, said, go and play Dancing Queen on the piano, I couldn't do that for you. I just couldn't.
No,
I could
but you
muster
could-
my way around it. But I tend to learn what I can for a show.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when I knew that Once the Musical was coming from America,
Yeah.
I looked at it and I went, I can play that part. I can play that part of Barushka, but I can't play the accordion. And that was the instrument she needed to play.
Yeah.
So I was doing the tour of Sister Act at the time with Cynthia Erivo,
Yeah.
who was a very young Dolores. Look at her now. So
I know,
proud.
unbelievable.
She is, I'm going to do the pun, defying gravity. Ooh, yo. So I was in Birmingham, and there's a fantastic accordion shop in Birmingham. I took my dear friend Catherine with me, and we bought an accordion for £300. And then I drove everybody mad learning Hey Padda Padda from Once, which is the main accordion song for Barushka, in Birmingham and onwards in the tour for the next 6 weeks. And then I auditioned, and then thankfully I got in. So I wouldn't say I play the accordion, but I can play what I need to.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I've played the bass in a show, but I couldn't tell you what the notes were. I just learnt a pattern.
Yeah.
I've played a cello in the show. I've just learnt the pattern. I guess I have musical bones.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
And if somebody said, do you think you could play 5 notes on the trombone in that scene? I'll go, give it to me. I'll have a go.
Yeah.
And
you
with
played the saxophone in Sister Act, didn't you, the second time?
Third time.
Third time?
Yeah.
So far we've got accordion, bass, drums you've mentioned, which we'll maybe come on to in a wee minute. Saxophone. Like, I mean, this list is getting bigger and bigger. Cello.
The thing is, that now there is schools where acting musician courses,
Yeah.
Rose Bruford, Arts Ed, and it's
Mount View do one as
Mount
well.
View do one as well. And it's a course where you get actors who go, or performers who go and can play 15 instruments. My bugbear about this is that I don't care if you can play 15 instruments. The main thing is that you need to be able to act.
Yes.
So please, let's concentrate on that first before you go up on that stage.
It's almost better going the way you
Yes.
went. You know that, I need to be able to play this for this role,
For this
so I'll
role.
learn it.
Yeah.
But Ali, I'm not so sure there'd be many people out there that could do that. Pick it up
As
and
you say,
learn
I
it
think you've
yourself.
got to
Like,
go.
there's a lot that you've had to
Maybe
learn
watching my bro
yourself.
playing the piano and kind of having that musicality in the bones, you know, I think that's probably helped. But also, the daddy of acting musician shows is Bob Carlton, who I first met in the 90s, hence Forbidden Planet, which was the first acting musician show in the West End.
Yeah.
That won an Olivier Award. Just pick that up off the floor.
Yeah.
And
what big hitter did you beat to that?
Olivier Award.
Olivier
here we
Award
go.
that
Little
year.
man.
sorry, Cameron, Miss Saigon.
Indeed. So for the return to Forbidden Planet, wiped
Yeah.
the floor with Miss Saigon. I'm
We
sure
were
they
so shocked. I will
delighted.
never forget that day. None of us expected it, of course, because
Yeah.
we were up against Miss Saigon Miss Saigon, Anything Goes, and Buddy Holly the musical. So Forbidden Planet and Buddy Holly were the first acting musician shows in the West End.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing because, oh gosh, they weren't proper musicals. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Everybody really
Interesting,
poo-pooed it.
Yeah.
Really poo-pooed. I mean, we were almost like something on your shoe, you know? So when Petula Clark announced Best Musical and it was us, well, we were behind the thing because we were thinking, now it's Miss Saigon, they're going to get it. Obviously,
You were about to perform.
we were about to perform and we were waiting, going, oh, well, never mind. At least we got nominated.
Yeah.
And they announced that we had won. And my friend Pixie, Craig Thornber, was the robot on the drums on one side, and I was on the drums the other side. Now, if you've ever seen a 6'2" robot on roller skates fly 40 foot in the air with sheer shock, I never thought I'd get to
Daily
see.
image,
That
daily
was it.
image, yep.
That was it. And then, all of us just looking at each other, and then of course the curtain going up, and the show starts with Wipeout on the drums, and Craig Pixie, the robot, starts it off. He's called Pixie because he's so tall. Starts it off, and of course he went at 95 million miles an hour, and I have to follow him. My poor little arms at the end of that.
Bless you.
But it is on YouTube,
Right.
and you can see us. You can see the sheer panic in all of our eyes.
Yeah.
after literally being told that we'd won that and then having to perform afterwards. It's 900 miles an hour.
That was really bad planning.
I know.
From the whoever was putting, those awards together. But it wouldn't have been as fast, would it?
No.
That it dragged their sorry asses through that performance, wouldn't they?
I mean, someone did put it on Facebook the other day, and I watched it and I went, my God, that is so fast. That is like 20 times faster than it should be. But it is a night I will never, never forget.
I'm sure. And was that the first time you went, right, this is it? I'm in something that's really made it. It's been a hit.
Well, the thing was, we nearly came off because we were co-producers with it. And, of course, that was another thing that was unheard of, is that actors co-produced a show. We had Angels and we had Paula Jones, who were also our producers. So we were also co-producers with it. And we were 2 weeks away from pulling the show. And we went on a thing, I don't know if you remember the Gloria Hunniford show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Blessed, God rest his soul, had come to see the show and absolutely raved about it.
Brilliant.
And we were on a thing where if the box office went up to a certain level, we would give ourselves a pay rise. So we were on very low wages to begin with. And then as soon as he mentioned the show, and then we won the Olivier Award, we were at the Cambridge Theatre where Matilda is now for 3 years. I wasn't. I was there for 2, and then we had a new cast come in. So It was extraordinary.
I love this story. We've spoken about it before, but I've said to Timothy I'd love to do an episode on that musical and just the history of it and how you all banded together to create it and make magic.
Well, it first, just to give you a brief history, it was conceived in a tent called the Bubble Theatre. And this was a tent that went round London taking theatre to people that would never go to the theatre and charge you 50p to get in. So it was conceived by the Bubble Theatre, which Bob Carlton invented and recreated.
Oh, that stuff excites me. I love that.
Yeah, well, we'll do an episode and we'll get Ali back.
That's how actor musicianship started.
Yeah.
And he also has another one called Jack to a King, which is, Forbidden Planet is based on Shakespeare's Tempest, and Jack to a King is based on Shakespeare's Scottish play.
Wow.
Actually, I can say Macbeth because we're not in a dressing room or a theatre.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it. Macbeth.
See?
I know,
a thespian down to her bones. Jen, what was the first thing that you did that you went, oh my goodness, actually, I've done well here. This is it. You just don't have that feeling.
Had that.
Yeah. What's it like?
Yes, you have.
I mean, honest to goodness, the things on your CV.
Listen, when you went to the Olivier Awards with Once, you were a bit, look.
Oh, I was quite pleased with myself. I was quite pleased with myself that day, but that wasn't my work. But I was working as resident on Once in the West End, and then they were nominated for an Olivier. And yeah, whenever you're standing in that theatre and you're putting it, because obviously it's going to be filmed for television.
Yeah.
You're like, you're really down to the finite details of it. And you do have to pinch yourself and go, oh my gosh, this is the Olivier Awards,
And was Once your first West End credit then?
Yeah.
Yeah, she abandoned me in Belfast and headed off to London town. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, well, because you were involved in a Amdram production of Cinderella here, weren't you?
That's right. I was doing Cinderella.
Rogers and Hammerstein's Cinderella.
It's pretty epic, actually. I thought, oh, Cinderella, that'll be fine.
It's a beautiful show.
Timmy and I'll be able to choreograph it remotely, and we were on FaceTime to each other practically.
Yeah, so Jen got the once job, and then was like, so I was wondering if I could use your help. And basically, Jen was in London, I was in Belfast, and it was before even Zoom was a thing. Do you remember? It was all over Skype.
That's what it was.
Okay.
But Timmy, she's still doing it now too, you darling.
I know. Nothing ever changes. But you know what?
10
I love
years ago that was 2015.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
2015,
14, 15.
14, I think it was.
She's still doing it to you now, sweetheart.
And honest to goodness, I still have the notes and the diagrams that I've drawn from Jen's instructions via Skype. It's
Skype,
crazy.
oh my God.
It was crazy.
It was. We were up to 11:30 midnight some nights.
And who was doing
over
Cinderella?
Skype.
What was the production?
It was Belfast Operatic.
Right,
We're
okay.
doing it. Yeah. So it was Jen's choreography, but because I was in Belfast, I then had to go in and kind of put it in
and put it actually on there.
Put it on,
He did an amazing job as well, because that was no mean feat. It was a
but
big
it was
company.
beautiful choreography, yeah.
It was an epic piece.
It
and
was
I was
fun.
doing another show as well in the Millennium Forum.
Things don't change. You do this all the time now. 10 shows on the go. I wonder why you're tired.
Honestly, I suppose that's one of the best things that's happened over the past, well, since I did once actually, is that up until that point, with all of those other productions, I was having to do so much driving from one place to the other, and I was having to do maybe 4 or 5 shows at once at the same time. And then whenever I got the gig on the West End, it just shifted things a little bit. And I was able to just more or less, not 100%, but more or less concentrate on one project at a time, which was amazing. But yeah, you can't beat standing on the Phoenix stage in London. You know, that's lovely. Well, you can almost beat it if you're standing on the Palace stage working on Harry Potter, I suppose.
That's true, and we'll get to Harry Potter. But let's talk about Once for a minute, because that was the first time you two then crossed paths as well.
Absolutely.
In the West End production.
Yeah.
Okay.
London's glittering West End. Yes.
So you were already in the cast, Ali, is that right?
Yes,
You had already been cast.
I'd already been cast, and then I signed on for another year, of course. Why wouldn't you? That's another bugbear of mine. People go, oh, I'm only doing a year in the West End. And you go, well, if you're enjoying the show, it's a regular wage, and it's going to run.
Yeah. Why would you
Sign
not?
for another year.
Yeah.
You idiot. But I hear that all the time. Oh, I'm only just going to do a year. You go, okay, fair enough. See ya.
It is. You have to have a certain amount of stamina, though. So it depends on the show.
Yeah.
You know, some people can't.
Yeah. All right. If it's a really physical show and you're knackered, fair enough. But if it's a show that you enjoy doing and you're right for it, just stay with it.
I have this same thing for actors doing sequels of films. I'm like, I know press junkets are usually just what we want people to hear and you say, but I had such a great time, it was really good, and then you hear, they're in negotiations for their wages for the sequel. But if you had fun doing it the first time, why do you need to get 10 times the amount of money or whatever that you got? I feel like enjoyment should be number one whenever you're doing
it definitely should be a big consideration,
but anyway, that's just me wishing that there wasn't something like that.
Yeah,
me too. So you had already done a year,
and then
this one walked through the door.
Des Kennedy brought this one through the door, and that was that.
That's right, because Des and I, that's the show that I was working on up in the Millennium Forum. Des and I were working together, and he was already on once.
Yeah,
he was the resident director I think, at that point.
He was indeed.
They needed a new resident movement director, so he said, "Do you want to do it?" And I was like,
But you didn't have much notice, did you? It was
I left, I think, within
2 weeks,
or something like
not
that.
even that.
Yeah.
And the thing was, you had to learn the show choreography, didn't you, Jen? And that, I remember a really short amount of time.
Yeah, I was learning the show. I was watching the show in the evening and then going in and bringing the new cast in during the day, or the following day. And we did that over 2 weeks. So yeah, it was crazy. That was quite an intense moment.
And what's that like whenever you have been tasked with taking somebody else's choreography and replicating it?
It feels like quite a responsibility.
Okay, yeah.
I did have a conversation with Stephen Hoggett, who's the original creator of the work, as he is the creator of Harry Potter as well. And luckily, he's a really, really nice person, and was really happy to share as much of the original information.
Okay.
And he's got a really specific way of working, so it was just helpful that I understood that way of working, and then I was able to kind of delve into the work a bit more and because it is, it's not just stand there, do that, it's got much more depth to it, I think.
It's tricky. I still remember the first experience I had watching that show, going, how are they doing that? Can we talk about chairs for a minute?
Mm-hmm. I love chairs.
Roughly, how many chairs did you have in that performance?
There were, I think there's 8 or 10 down each side, and then there were 4 tables as well, and the piano, and all those, they were all moved continually throughout.
Makes you think where Come From Away got their idea from.
Yeah, very similar. It is very similar.
Where Come From Away got their idea from.
Well, I think,
it's a very similar show,
let's just say that Once, I think, definitely inspired the movement for a lot of other shows that came after that.
I think so, yeah.
Because, do you know why? Because it's poor man's theatre, basically. really.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want all the mechanics. We want something that the cast can move, but how can they move this stuff into place in the most beautiful way possible so that it feels like the whole thing's organic? Yeah. And that's where the chairs and like, why are they moving a chair? Oh wow, that's why they're moving the chair like that, and they're moving it with such finesse, and it feels like it's tied to the story, and it feels like it's tied to the music. 100%.
It just flew. Everything about it.
And you didn't miss a big set, did you? It was
Not
just
at
beautiful
all.
storytelling.
Now, as a theatre goer and as an audience member, it took you time to get used to it, because I think it was certainly the first musical that I had seen where it was one set. Everybody was on stage the whole time. There were very few ons and offs. And it was also the first show that I experienced that was an actor muso show. You know, there wasn't a band. The actors played the music as well as telling the story. Like, it was very of its time, very, very new and very different. Obviously, I didn't see, Return to the Forbidden Planet. But
it's still been at primary school, Chuck.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think that it was kind of groundbreaking in a way once, because look, I hadn't seen anything else like it or been involved in anything else like it. So for me, it definitely was quite new, because I had choreographed Sweet Charity in the Mac, which was the most fun for me because it was all the instruments. There were a few tears, I have to say, because I was making that transition from just working with people who didn't have instruments to working with people who do. But what do you mean you can't do the splits and play that clarinet at the same time?
Why not?
Just get on with it, please. There was, but do you know what? That cast of people were, they did it.
Yeah.
Of course, I had to make compromises as well, which was a first for me, because
You're very good at compromising.
So that was
You're one of the best I know.
And I think it once definitely, it set the bar for as far as integration of actor musicians into the musical theatre genre. Although I think we called it a play with music. Although a new musical, once a new musical, say that.
Yeah, our lovely guest brought us gifts today. We got the most beautiful tote bags, which are branded with some of the musicals we're talking about, Once being one of them. You played the accordion in Once, isn't that right, Ali?
Yes.
And what was it like having to do that choreography what is it like being an actor muso when you're throwing choreography, like moves and stamps and turns and all the rest of it?
It's a total head mount. Even in my, next year I'd have been doing this game for 40 years. And it is basically I would say to anybody, learn the choreography with the instrument you have attached to you. Yeah. Like an accordion is easy. But if you're playing a cello, you have a special harness now for a cello that goes on your body. But back in the day, you didn't. You carried the cello. You had to, have a lot of strength. It's just practice, repetition to get it into your body, get it into your bones. And then luckily enough, one day it just all clicks and it's there. And that's the way of making it look easy. But believe me, the journey there to make it look easy was very difficult.
Yeah. And what was this one like when she walked in? Hard taskmaster?
Well, I always say she's got a pointy choreographer finger. And she actually uses it when she's driving as well. And I go, there comes the choreographer finger. You do, don't you?
I do.
You do have a choreographer finger.
So you were already in the cast, and then Jen came in.
Yes.
So luckily she already knew the show.
Okay. So that was an interesting
transition.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, she was very good. I thought you were great.
Thank you.
I would have to, so you had already done a year.
Yeah.
You must have to have a lot of patience if you're remaining in the show and new people are coming in, you're having to do the same thing all over again.
You have to adapt because it's different people. It's never going to be the same as the original cast.
Yeah.
People are going to do things differently. People have got different speeds. People are going to say things differently. You've just got to be really
differently as well.
You've got to be generous and you've got to be patient.
Is that not the magic of theatre?
Yeah,
that everybody's
absolutely.
aligned.
This is why I kind of prefer doing theatre to film. I think is that it's different every night.
Yeah.
And we're all human, and somebody is going to forget a word, or especially me, or a line, or go the wrong way, and that's what live theatre's all about, and that's what makes it exciting, I think.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
know.
And how was learning the Czech accent?
Czech. We had a lovely voice coach, Margaret, I think her name was. Sorry, I can't remember your full name. Interesting, but I would think that the people had problems doing the Dublin accent or the Southern Irish accent, to be honest with you.
More,
what
yeah.
did you think?
Yeah, I think so. That was.
I think we opened actually at the Gaiety in Dublin. What was clever is that Barbara Broccoli, Miss James Bond, didn't want to open it in London because there's always people are looking at you. People are going to judge very quickly.
Especially things like accents.
Absolutely. So they try. A lot of people try shows out like in Manchester or open it down in Plymouth. They decided to open it at the Gaiety in Dublin.
Which is nice because it has. But that's tough as well.
It's home, I suppose, when you look at the story and where it's set, it is home.
Yeah.
But if it's not Irish actors doing those accents, like, it's very brave, isn't it, to open it in Dublin?
Yeah, very brave.
And we also had Drinka Shitovic, or Shitterface as I used to call her. Because I could never say, am I allowed to say that?
You can.
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Oh my God, was she Croatian?
Yeah.
So she was halfway there, but Drinka was up for Best Actress in a Musical, which she won. And I said, I always bet with her that, and it's still going on to this day, that if she won the Olivier, she owed me 50 quid. If she didn't, I owed her 50 quid. And she came in the next day after winning it and gave me the 50 quid.
Oh, what a great memory.
No, it wasn't. She went, no. She said, this is the deal we have for life, Mother, because I was her mother in the Mother in Czech. And every time she wins an award, because she's like Beyonce in Croatia.
Okay.
She's a huge, huge star and very proud of her. And every time she wins Best Actress in this, or, she has an olive farm. She wins prizes for her olive oil.
Olives.
So do I.
She wins prizes for her olive oil in Croatia. I digress. So every time she wins an award, I just send her a little text going, 50 quid?
Yeah, very good, very good. Do you know what? So obviously the two main characters in once are called Guy and Girl. Do you know why they were called Guy and Girl and not just given a name?
I don't know.
Because the other characters
they
have
all
their
names.
character names,
I
don't they?
I can't answer that, Timmy. I honestly don't know.
I might have watched a little documentary.
She
Oh,
does.
you love documentaries,
She
don't
does.
you?
Absolutely. There isn't an episode we don't do.
What time of the
where
night
this
did you
one...
watch it at?
Like in the middle of the night. No, I think it was like more of an interview. I know it was like discussing it, and I think it's because of that everybody can relate to this story of once, where people are in your life for a reason and a season. So given a name means that you can't relate to that relationship, while Guy and Girl, you could put yourself in that relationship and have those.
So they're representative?
Yes.
More representative?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Well done, Lauren. You see those documentaries come in
That's kind of what I
handy,
was thinking
don't
in my
they?
head as well, so it does make sense.
Yeah.
And Timmy, I'm going off to do it again.
Well, I was about to say the story of once.
And I'm doing it again as well.
continues
Oh, mad,
on.
isn't it? But we're doing it with two separate companies. Yeah. I am going to Taiwan and Taichung to play Barushka again for the month of August with the concert version, which will be quite different, I think. There's no jigging about. Sorry about that.
So
no
that gold routine isn't going to happen?
Well, who knows? I don't know yet. But three originals. Arthur Darville is playing Guy.
Oh, lovely.
And Josh Slovak is playing Andre, and I'm playing Barushka. So three of us.
Lovely.
So going to Taiwan, yeah.
And how many years is it since you've visited?
10.
Oh, are you looking forward to
Well,
returning?
I can't practice my accordion at home because Stephen the dog keeps howling.
Every
So
time. It's
I'm having to
You're welcome to come round to mine anytime because the music is beautiful.
So yes, and it's funny because I still remember it. And I don't know what part of the brain that I kept that in, but it's still in there somewhere.
It's
and
all
when are you
your
going?
woman's
You're
drilling
going
here.
off to do it.
I'm going in early 2025 to do it in Seoul, in South Korea. And we're doing the original,
The replica,
all the jigging about.
the original.
the original West End version over there, and it has been done there before. They did it actually twice. They did it with an original Korean cast, and then I brought the cast from Dublin
Yes.
over as well.
So you have been over
Yeah.
already, haven't you?
Yeah.
What's that like working in a different country? Like,
it's absolutely, what an experience, like a really different experience. Just like the last time I was over early this year, just doing the auditions, and I had my own translator.
amazing.
And she, God love her, was having to translate Northern Irish into English into Korean.
Yeah.
Not only that, but also the sort of choreographic language that I use as well. So I had to be really careful about. You know this yourself as well as a choreographer. You've got a different way of communicating what you want to try and get the best out of people. So it's you use metaphors and you use imagery and you use slightly unusual
Pointy fingers.
Yeah, pointy fingers.
Yeah, sometimes I make up words like...
You make up
boom,
words.
cha, ka, hoo,
Yeah, yeah.
Ba-da.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, the poor girl who was...
It's true though, isn't it?
Kaping.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Da-da.
So have you had to get your once book out again?
Do you know, for the auditions, no, I didn't.
It's somewhere in your brain,
Just
isn't
remembered. I mean, I did listen to the songs quite a lot. I was doing Gold, and I did If You Want Me.
it?
I did a bit of A Pada Pada as well.
Yeah.
And that was just sort of in my bones still, which was great.
It's mad,
But for the but definitely for going in January, I will have to get
It's one of
the show
my
out again.
most vivid memories. I came to stay with you when you were putting it on in Dublin. And you had a lovely wee apartment. And I came round to the apartment.
Olympia.
Yes. And on your coffee table was like your... Is it called the show book?
Yeah, the Bible.
The Bible basically was out on the coffee
complex.
table. And I took a wee flick. And honest to God, it was a work of art.
They are.
Like, it
They're
was a work of art. The stickers, the notes,
If
the
we
maps,
ever lost that, we would be in such
honest to
trouble.
goodness, like, and you had to, like, you put that together when you went over to London for the first time, didn't you? And you were learning the show, like that was all your work. You had to.
That particular version.
You
was
had to
mine.
do
They
it.
already had one, which I didn't realise, which was my biggest downfall. But in the end, actually, it worked very well because I had my own version.
Yeah, and your
then
own language and all that.
And then it lasted me then for 2 years in Dublin, and then another production in Korea. Yeah, so it worked.
It's
and it'll work.
exciting.
It'll stamp me in good
Yeah,
stead then.
this time round, yeah. And the other thing that I loved about Once was the pre-show, Ali.
Yes. Do you know, I found that music the other day because I thought, I'll need to learn the pre-show songs, and but we don't. It basically starts this concert version with Leave.
Okay.
So it's completely different. But the pre-show, yes, on stage.
Was
the
it
bar.
different every night? Like, could you just
Yes.
get together with the
Whoever
others
was
and
in
go, what are we
charge
doing?
of looking after the music, once the musical director had, gone, would write up a list of 6 songs, stick them on the piano, and we wouldn't know which ones we were going to do until we came out.
And were they just all Irish traditional songs?
Yeah, and Czech songs.
Yeah.
So we must have learned, apart from the show, at least 25 songs on top of that.
Honest to goodness, like, the
It
talent
was a bit of
needed
a head
to be
brain.
in that show.
The brain was about to explode. But, again, I did that show for 2 years, and it's just second nature.
Yeah.
And people loved that because that was what was unusual, is that you could go up on stage and have a drink on the stage with the bar.
A bit like, what's the one that... like Matthew's been in. He was in Australia in it.
Oh, Choir of Men.
Choir of Men.
Will they totally
See,
make
another
that
one
from
that
Once?
was influenced by
Yeah,
Once.
totally.
Totally.
Because that was so
And
new
it's
as
similar
well.
with the tables and the chairs and like the bar, and they sit up on it and then they go around people whenever they're singing certain songs and there's drinking and all of
Yeah,
that.
because that's the other thing I remember, because I was with Jen before I went to see it in London, and she was like, sure, I'll see you at the bar on stage. And I'm like, on stage? And she was like, yeah, see you on stage. And I was like, what is going on? And I still have, I think it was Dublin maybe, oh no, it was London. Did they sell
Beakers.
yeah,
Yes.
in like the branded, like, so I still have my plastic Once
Happy
that I had
days.
my beer
Yeah.
in. Yeah, very, very, very cool.